The 2022 World Cup starts in 70 days. There's an upcoming international window in September, so it is the perfect opportunity to take a look at the Canadian men's national team's center back depth chart, take a look at some of the candidates, and try to figure out who John Herdman is going to have on that plane ride to Qatar. If you guys are excited for this episode, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and let's get into it now. We are going to start things off by taking a look at the center back candidates, starting with the left-footed players. Now, three main players come to mind, and the first one is Kamal Miller. Kamal Miller's stock in the last few years has blown up, and he is killing it this season with CF Montreal. So far in the MLS this season, he started 23 matches, played in 24, has 2 goals, 3 assists for a Montreal side that is second place in the East. Kamal Miller is mainly featured this season as an outside left center back in a back three. That is how CF Montreal line up, and Canada plays with a back three quite a bit as well, but Kamal Miller has proven that he's the type of player who can play in a back four. Miller is fast, strong, composed on the ball, and has really broken into the Canadian men's national team the past few seasons. He's been John Herdman's go-to guy on the left-hand side, and will definitely have a huge opportunity to start matches in the World Cup. The next left-footed center back on our list is Scott Kennedy, and Kennedy's had a bit of a slow start to this season with Jan Regensburg. Kennedy was a starter at the beginning of last season, but lost his place towards the end of the season and hasn't been able to regain it yet. Out of 7 matches played, Kennedy started 1, appeared in 6, has 0 goals, 0 assists, as Jan Regensburg sit 12th place in the table. There is some positive news for Scott Kennedy though. He did feature in 6 out of a total 7 matches this season, and he started in the last one. On top of that, in that last match, they picked up a clean sheet, and he looked very good playing in a back three on the outside left center back position. Kennedy has become a regular for Canada, and at one point looked like he was going to be the main man on the outside left center back position. Miller leapfrogged him in the depth chart, but he's still an important player. He comes off the bench quite a bit for John Herdman and features in matches when Miller doesn't start. The third and final left-footed center back on our list is Derek Cornelius. Cornelius moved from the Vancouver Whitecaps to Panathinaikos last season, had a fantastic campaign, and has already kickstarted this season in good form as well. Panathinaikos have played 3 matches so far this season, and Cornelius has started every single one of them. He has no goals or assists, but Panathinaikos have had a great start so far, going 1-1-1 in the opening 3 matches and sitting 5th place in the table. Not so long ago, Derek Cornelius wasn't getting called up to the Canadian men's national team, but moving to Europe completely flipped the script. He's done a fantastic job so far. Last season was a great breakout season in Europe, and he's continuing that form. He's had a lot of rumors as well. A lot of teams are interested in him because of the incredible form he's on, and he can be a very important player coming in on that outside left center back position, and he's right now, for me, he's battling it out with Kennedy. Moving along now to our right-footed center backs, we are going to start things off with Alistair Johnston because I'm going to separate him from the rest because I wasn't really sure what to do. Canada often play with this back three, and Alistair Johnston has become an irreplaceable player for it. So I'm going to include him, but it's sort of going to be separate because we know that's the position that he plays, and he just simply, like I mentioned, cannot be replaced. Johnston has had an incredible campaign so far for CF Montreal. He started 27 matches, played in 29, he has 3 goals and 4 assists, as CF Montreal are flying in second place in the East right now. Alistair Johnston can do it all for CF Montreal. He mainly features as an outside right center back in that back three, but he can also play as a right wing back, and he has 7 goal contributions from those 2 positions, which is very impressive. He does similar work as well for the Canadian men's national team, with his main position being that outside right center back in the back three, but when Canada also play with that back four, he can go out to right back. He doesn't really feature as a wing back because Richie Laryea and Buchanan often feature there, but he's become such an important player for John Herdman, and we know that he's going to be on that plane ride to Qatar. Moving along now to second on our right-footed center backs, and it's the more center back style players, the ones that can play in those back fours, and it is Steven Vittoria, who is having a season to remember. Steven Vittoria had a strong start to his last season, but he fell off. He picked up back-to-back red cards and completely lost his spot in that starting 11. He left Moreirense after they were relegated, but he was quickly picked up by Chaves, who were promoted back up to the Portuguese top flight. This was a stroke of genius because this has been an incredible start to the season for both Chaves and Vittoria. Chaves have played 5 matches so far, and Steven Vittoria has started every single one of them. They have 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss, sitting in 6th place in the table. And Vittoria has even already got in on the scoring act, scoring 1 goal so far, but he hasn't picked up an assist. Chaves were expected to be one of the favorites to go down, and seeing Vittoria play like this and having fun again and getting his confidence and form is exactly what Canada wants, because they don't really have a player quite like him. Steven Vittoria is very interesting because of the characteristics that he has. He's clearly a leader in the dressing room. He's been a big part of the reason why Chaves wanted to pick him up, bringing that type of leadership in to help him stay up. He's a set-piece specialist, We've all seen the Stephen Eustachio free kicks, and I don't know how, I don't know why, but it's always to the head of Steven Vittori. He's able to cut it back to cross goal, and it's quite incredible to watch. He, similar to Alistair Johnston, is a bit irreplaceable for this side because when they play this back three, he's the main man through the middle. Next up on our right-footed center back list is Joel Waterman, the third CF Montreal player, and like the other two, he's had an incredible season so far. Joel Waterman has started and appeared in a total of 25 matches so far this season, scoring 3 goals and 2 assists for the high-flying CF Montreal side. It's incredible for me that Waterman, Johnston, and Miller have a total of 17 goal contributions between them. They have incredible chemistry together, and the CF Montreal has got one of the best defenses in the league. Waterman has featured all over the back three as well for CF Montreal, playing as the outside right center back, outside left center back, and central center back. It'd be incredible to see these type of chemistry replicate over to the men's national team, especially when a player like Steven Vittori at the age of 35 may not be able to play every single match through the middle. Well, what would be better than starting 3 players that have chemistry together for the national team? You could literally line up Canada with a back 3, have Alistair Johnston at outside right, Kamal Miller at outside left, and Joel Waterman through the middle. Joel Waterman is definitely on the radar of Herdman, but he hasn't been called up to Canada in a very long time. This upcoming international window in September will be very telling because he deserves a call up, and a lot of fans were surprised he wasn't called up in the last window. He's on form, he's got chemistry with a lot of his teammates as well, so it's going to be very curious to see if he's done enough so far to get Herdman's trust. The next player up on our right-footed center back list is Daniel Henry, and Henry is one of Herdman's guys. He has the trust of John Herdman, he's got character, he's got a lot of leadership he brings to the dressing room, and he's been with his national team for a long time. However, despite that, his seasons haven't been very good so far. Coming back from Korea, he signed with LAFC, he barely featured before getting waived, picked back up by TFC, and he can't seem to break into that starting 11. His stats in the MLS so far this season, playing for both LAFC and TFC, are 2 starts, 10 total appearances, 0 goals, 0 assists, and he's currently playing for a TFC side that sit 10th place in the East. When you talk about calling a player in for form, you look at a player like Joel Waterman compared to Daniel Henry. Realistically, looking at this list, he shouldn't be called in on his form, but there's a lot of different characteristics to a national team than just form, which is why he's definitely in there. But looking at the stats and the type of players he competes with, to see him not playing has to be a little bit concerning. Especially because next on our right-footed center back list is Lucas McNaughton, the player keeping Daniel Henry on the bench. Lucas McNaughton had an incredible time in the CPL, winning the North Star Shield with Pacific, which earned him a move to TFC. This is his first season in the MLS, and he's definitely showing he can compete at this level. He started 17 matches, appeared in a total of 22. He has 0 goals, 0 assists for TFC so far. Similar to Joel Waterman, if we're looking at form, Lucas McNaughton should be ahead of Daniel Henry on this depth chart. He's literally keeping him off the team at TFC. He's playing well in front of him. I'm curious to see if the September window will be telling for either Waterman or McNaughton, or potentially both. The final player on our right-footed center back list is Amir Didic. Now, I'm bringing this player up for a couple different reasons. The main one is that he's featured for Canada twice already, and he scored in one of those matches. He's still one of the best players in the CPL, playing for a very talented Pacific side, and it's interesting to see because most national teams going to the World Cup have a player playing in their local league. So I wanted to grab one who I think could be realistic because of the center back depth we had. That if Amir Didic is continuing to play at this level, he's used to the national team, and he could be the lone representative for the Canadian men's national team playing in our local CPL. The stats for Didic this season so far have been pretty good as well. He started in 18 matches, played in a total of 21. He has 1 goal, 1 assist as Pacific's at 5th place in the table. My favorite attribute about Didic is his aerial presence. He's a beast in the air, similar to Steven Vittori. So if Vittori isn't able to feature in a match, this could be a good replacement playing the middle of a back 3, very good in the air and can be deadly from set pieces. Those are all our center back candidates, so now it is time for the fun part to come up with a list of players who I believe are going to go to the World Cup. I'm going to pick 6 because looking at the expanded 26-man roster, I think 6 is pretty realistic, and I'm going to include Alistair Johnston in that 6 as well. Now let's start off with my list. These are the 6 center backs that I would bring to the World Cup for Canada. The first is Alistair Johnston. For all the reasons I mentioned, he's irreplaceable for Canada. He's going to mainly feature as that outside right center back, but he can play as a right back and even as a wing back if we need to. He's number 1 on my list. Number 2 is Steven Vittori. He's such important to this back 3. He's going to feature in the middle of it. We know he can still feature in a back 4, aerial presence, and has had an incredible start to his season so far. Third on my list is Kamal Miller, and that completes the 3 center backs that I would start for Canada. Johnston on the right, Vittori through the middle, and Miller on the left. Miller has been incredible for Canada and for CF Montreal. He has to start for me, and it helps that he's a lefty. He can feature comfortably in a back 3 or back 4. Number 4 on my list is Joel Waterman, and like I mentioned, he can feature anywhere in that back three. He can replace Johnston, Miller, or Victoria. He has chemistry with Johnston and Miller, and it's not unbelievable to think that he could start a match in front of Victoria given his age in the World Cup and play alongside his club teammates. Number 5 on my list is Scott Kennedy. I've included Kennedy as well from the left-hand side because he is an important player for this Canada side. This hasn't been the greatest start to the season for him, but he just got a start recently, got a clean sheet as well, so odds are that he's able to hopefully fight his way back into the starting 11 and we can get a very informed Scott Kennedy come World Cup time. The 6th and final center back on my list to Qatar is Derek Cornelius. I'm a big fan of Cornelius. I think he can definitely play a role. That means that there's 3 left-footed center backs that I would bring. All could definitely have an opportunity to feature, but regardless if something happens to Miller or Kennedy, you have a player in Derek Cornelius who's playing at a high level in Europe who could step in and do a job. Now those are the 6 center backs that I would bring to the World Cup for Canada, but what do I believe John Herdman will do? Well, I think he has a very similar list to me, but with one main change. I believe John Herdman has 5 locks right now for the center back position. I believe he will bring Alistair Johnston, Stephen Victoria, Kamal Miller, Doniel Henry, and Scott Kennedy. Given the fact that Canada can bring 26 players to the World Cup, in my eyes, there's no way Herdman doesn't bring Henry. He trusts Henry. Henry's been with the national team for a very long time. He's a locker room presence and he brings leadership qualities. Even though he may not be in the best form like the likes of Waterman, McNaughton, even Cornelius, I think that he would be probably 4th on John Herdman's depth chart. The 6th and final center back that I think John Herdman would bring is between Derek Cornelius and Joel Waterman. I'm curious what September will tell us about either player. Both of them are on great form right now. Cornelius is killing it in the Greek League. He did that last season. He's doing it again. Joel Waterman, same can be said for the MLS. Both are on great form. I think both will probably get an opportunity in September, but in my eyes, John Herdman will only bring 1 to Qatar. That is all the time we have for in this episode. Let me know down in the comments below if you agreed with the 6 center backs that I would bring to the World Cup, the 6 center backs that I believe John Herdman will bring to the World Cup, or if there's a center back I simply left out. Let me know down below what you guys think, and as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub as well. Be sure to head over to OneSoccer for all the best Canadian soccer content. My name is Josh Deming. Thank you all for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers, friends.